reached out to the Twitter sphere to ask people what we should be asking you, and one guy wanted to know, since you have read the books, as a person who's read the books, do you take issue with episodes that maybe don't go as deep into detail that you know is there, or that may deviate a little bit from the source material? Are you as invested in the source material as fans are? As an actor, you're going to take what you get?
It's a tricky one because obviously the second season has deviated more than the first did, maybe from the books.
I'm saying good ways, though.
In good ways, I agree. Yeah, we always have to kind of realise how much of an adaptation it is, and how how kind of like detailed George's books are, and how chock-a-block full of characters they are, and different. There's stuff you can do in a book that you can't do in a TV show. So there are times when I'm sad that a character that I read in the book, that I loved in the book, it doesn't appear in the in the TV show. I get sad about that as well. But if you included everyone that was in the books into our TV show, then every character would be spread so thinly throughout that 10 hours that you wouldn't get enough with those characters that you've invested in already. So there's a constant balancing act, and I think David and Dan, who write it, I could never even dream of doing what they're doing. They work so hard on it. So.
Do you think the characters are more layered and just have more depth on the screen than they did on the book?
I think they're different. I mean, every character differs, and the casting's brilliantly done. But one thing we do with that, like the actors involved in it, I think we've got to the end of the second season, and I've heard it, not just me, but other actors say this, that you know what, I need to return to the books. I need to go back, and because I feel like I've drifted from that person in the books, and I've made him my own, but in that way we're kind of going like this. And
was there a moment that you felt you drifted?
Yeah, well, I think second season I felt, I mean, there were some adaptations we made from the book to the screen. So yeah, there was changes I had to make to, to fit that within who he is in my head. But yeah, I mean, there's certain things that sort of he has to compromise in our series that he doesn't in the books, and that changes him fundamentally as a character anyway. So yeah, I think he does, and I have to go back now and reassess the third book before we go on to it, so that I can sort of revisit who he is in the books and make sure I'm not too far away from that.
Well, I think the biggest discrepancy is probably the age of the characters. Now, how old do you imagine your character to be?
When I read him in the book, I always thought, this guy's 20, 21, because he says he's 14, but you forget very quickly that he is. And I think, in the world we live in now, a 14-year-old is different from a 14-year-old would be in the books George. So I think George aged them up anyway. You name them at 14, but actually they come across more, 20, 21. The difficulty is that I'm playing him as sort of my own age. I'm 25. I think of him as about 22, 23. The difficulty is that in the books he's got a bit of teenage sort of angst about him, which my sort of age doesn't. So you have to kind of balance those two things, I guess. But yeah, I always aged him up anyway. I always thought it was kind of not ridiculous, but strange that when we did the pilot, we were trying to play him as 14, and it didn't work. It never would work. And actually, you want him to be a bit of a bigger guy, an older guy.